This story comes to us from Fox 4 KDFW. Keller to pay $200,000 to settle excessive force lawsuit against 2 officers. The alleged incident happened back in August, and the lawsuit was filed in December. That prompted the city to release body and dashcam video. The video showed Keller Police Department Sergeant Blake Shimanek pulling Dylan Puente over for making a wide right turn. During the stop, Dylan's father, Marco Puente, pulled up and began using his cell phone to record the arrest. While Marco was recording his son's arrest from the sidewalk, Sergeant Shimanek told another officer to arrest him for blocking the roadway. Puente's attorney said he was not resisting arrest, yet the second officer, Amagansett Press, sprayed his eyes with pepper spray twice. Within hours of the incident, Keller's Police Department's command staff reviewed the case, and the charge of interference against Marco Puente was dropped. And Dylan Puente was reimbursed for the traffic violation, Keller's mayor said. Marco said he filed the lawsuit because he doesn't want other citizens being treated like he and his son were. Marco's attorneys, Scott Palmer and James Roberts, say the settlement sends a message. Police misconduct and abuse of power is coming to an end, Roberts said. People will no longer accept it. It's an expensive lesson at the end of the day, Palmer said. Police officers that cost their cities money is a reminder that you've got to behave better. In a statement, the city of Keller said it is pleased that a mediated settlement agreement has been achieved, although the final documents still need to be signed by everyone involved. The settlement does not require the city to take any further action against the officers. Chief Fortune seems like a decent guy, he's going to do the right thing, Mark. He apologized soon after it happened and apologized in a city hall meeting. The police chief will be sharing with the city council police changes that are a result of the incident. The city is also pointing out that its insurance company is paying all but a $5,000 deductible for the settlement. That means $195,000 is coming from the insurance company that provides insurance for Keller, Texas. City of Keller government about 2 weeks ago. Thank you to the many residents who participated in the Keller Police Department's community town hall meetings over the past 2 weeks. If you missed those discussions, you can catch up through the recordings linked below. Police Chief Brad Fortune will be sharing information with City Council on policy changes and initiatives stemming from these discussions and the department's internal evaluations of the August 15th incident. Sergeant Blake Shimanek, who pulled over Dylan Puente for making a wide right turn in the first place, was initially demoted to patrolman, but he has since retired as of February 1st. That was his last day. It was Shimanek who not only pulled over Dylan Puente for the wide right turn, but also ordered Officer Tomer to pepper spray the father, Marco Puente. The video that everybody's seen centered around his body camera footage. Officer Tomer had no repercussions, as it was found that he was just following orders through the internal investigation. Chief Fortune had a series of town hall meetings so the people of Keller and surrounding neighborhoods could get their feelings off their chest. Here is what some of the people said at those town hall meetings. I think it speaks volumes for the fact that the father, Marco Puente's charges were dropped so quickly that Dylan Puente was reimbursed for his ticket, and the fact that this happened in August of 2020, and we already have a $200,000 settlement in late January. That's unbelievable. For something to happen in August and they be settling for $200,000 lets you know that Keller The Keller Police Department knew they were wrong 100%. And they were trying to get this in the rearview mirror as fast as they possibly could. That they weren't even going to try and defend the actions of those officers. So I believe that's commendable, because everybody knows how long red tape can take. And settlements do not usually happen in months. They happen in years. Let's hear what Chief Fortune has to say.
Keller, but I'm not new to the police profession, and this isn't my first internal affairs investigation or response to resistance. I was a Homeland Security lieutenant. In that position, one of my responsibilities was the public-private partnership in building and developing a relationship with the community. Public servant role of serving you and doing this with you, not against you. Last week, there are certain things that I cannot discuss because of the federal lawsuit. So if it has to do with the specific incident or the disciplinary decision, at this time, we can't talk about it. Now, I will tell you that, as I said in my statement, August 15th, what happened, it probably angered every single one of you in here, and I can assure you that that Monday when we came into work that day, it angered us as well. There's no one in this room, I think, that are going to look at each other and say that what happened was acceptable, and it's something that represents the Keller Police Department of the city of Keller, because it does not.
Thank you. One of my questions I had was, I believe it was Officer Tomer. Is that how his name's correct? You were talking about empowerment. Was Officer Tomer empowered to realize that Officer Shimanek was not giving what would be considered good instruction to him? And again, I realize you can't talk about specifics, but this is more of the empowerment question. When he arrived, Officer Shimanek instructed him to watch him, meaning watch Marco Puente. And Marco Puente made the comment, "Watch me what? Stand here." He was well within his rights, like you pointed out. And then the next response was, obviously, that agitated Officer Shimanek, and then it was to arrest him. Would Officer Tomer been empowered at that time to realize that the instruction he was getting was not appropriate and be able to de-escalate that situation? Is he empowered to do that, or would he be running into some police politics in the sense that that's my sergeant, he gave me an order, I better follow it, or I'm going to be reprimanded later on? What is the empowerment there? And my next question, or a comment, and you can instruct me if I was incorrect, it seemed like last week when you got up, and I think you mentioned a sterile statement that you made or something like that, you mentioned that Officer Shimanek was placed on a non-uniformed, not in the public duty for his protection. I'm just going to say I think a better statement would have been both for the public safety and his safety. I just think that would have been a little bit more right. Not that I'm assuming that he's going to go out and do something wrong, but I just think that would have been a better statement. It seems a little one-sided just to say for his safety. And again, that's just, maybe that's splitting hairs. But I was just mainly, the big question is, Officer Tomer, would he have faced some discipline if he had empowered himself?
In general, any officer, they show up on scene, things have happened before their arrival. If another officer tells them X, good faith doctrine, you're trusting that officer that that is a lawful order within their authority. You don't sometimes have time, especially if it's to make an arrest, to start saying, okay, you need to give me all your probable cause, you need to tell me all these things. You're supposed to have good faith in your officer that what you're being given is a lawful order. So now, if an officer, any officer, is on scene during the entire incident and they see everything that's going on, and then an officer says, go do something, well, they've been there the whole time, and if they know that that's wrong, we have a policy now, duty to intervene. Then now it's their responsibility to stop and have that discussion, just like you're saying. So there's a little bit of a difference there, okay? Remind me again the second part? Oh, my statement. Okay, so I did say for the safety of Officer Shimanek, because he and his family have been getting death threats. I understand, and I agree with you. But they've been getting death threats. The extended family's been getting death threats. Extended family has had people try to take their jobs from them. It goes on and on and on. So that was legit.
More kind of tailed on to that gentleman's question. Regarding whenever someone pulls up on scene and you're told, if they're given an order and then in the same breath, the order changes. For example, go watch him versus go arrest him. At that point, is it kind of like a personal decision to be like, well, hey, which one? Like, or what are we, is that not, we just kind of go with whichever one they want at the time?
When an officer gets on scene and the officer who has been on scene makes their decision, whether it's watch them, whether it's arrest them, again, it goes back to the good faith doctrine. The officer who just arrived on scene has no context for anything. They just get there, they don't know anything.
I have a follow-up question. Are police officers allowed to turn off their body cams?
So, no. So if they're in the middle of an incident, no. There's disciplinary action for that.
What's that disciplinary action?
Well, it depends. It could range from documented counseling, written reprimand, suspension. It depends on what happened. Like sometimes there's reasons why it would go off technologically. If they purposely turn it off, it's going to be much more severe discipline.
Why are they allowed to do that in the first place? To turn off the body cam in the first place?
Well, so if they're done with the call and they're finished with their business, they turn it off. Otherwise, they go to the bathroom, they have personal reasons, they have privacy in their cars.
That have been said so far. I think it's important to keep our focus on why we're here. I believe that this town hall is here for feedback from the citizens in response to a specific incident that occurred in our community. And you guys are asking for feedback from the citizenry on how to get better. And so while we're all here and we support the Keller Police Department, I think, I don't know that we're utilizing the platform appropriately if our goal is to simply applaud how well the police department is doing. So my question is, I have a couple. I said, first, can you talk about what the feedback has been that you've received? You mentioned that you've gotten lots of feedback locally, but also nationally and worldwide potentially. Can you talk about what the most prevalent request or demand has been from you or from the Keller Police Department?
I don't know if there's a single thing that's jumping out. The predominant theme is that it was bad, and we all agree it was a bad decision, and it was bad. And that there hasn't been a whole lot of good. I've not heard anyone say that was a good job, or that they support that action, and we agree.